So here I'm demonstrating the camera tracker within After Effects, which is the simplest way to track an object into your scene that wasn't already there. So in this case, we'll be taking this wingsuit footage and tracking in whatever we want to it. So I'm going to start by bringing the wingsuit footage into a composition of its own. And I'm going to show you a new way to do this. Instead of clicking composition, new composition, and entering all your settings, you can just drag the footage you want to use as your background over this little new composition button and release. And that will create a new composition containing only our footage, and the composition will be automatically set to be the correct frame rate and the correct length and the correct resolution for our footage. So I'm going to close these windows over here so that we can see the composition window better. And here we have the composition window. I'll play once through our footage. So we're going to apply the camera tracker effect, which will essentially give us an After Effects camera that's animated in such a way as to match the actual camera in the actual scene. So as an effect, we need to apply it directly to the clip itself. So let's select the clip within the timeline and then apply the effect by choosing the animation menu and clicking Track Camera. That will add the 3D camera tracker effect to our layer. And what's happening here is that it's tracking hundreds of points within the footage, and then it will use those points to solve the position of the 3D camera. That takes a minute, so you want to make sure that you're not tracking more than you need to. If you have a 10-minute clip, you'll want to edit out just the part of the clip you need to track, otherwise it will take just too long. The clip we're working with is about 300 frames or 10 seconds, which should be fine. So once the effect is done processing, assuming you didn't get any errors, you will see hundreds of these colorful dots throughout your scene. And these represent points that the camera tracker identified as physical points on the actual landscape. So we're going to choose some of these points and then stick an object to them so that the object moves as if it were in the scene as it were shot. So I'm going to put a dog on this ledge right here. So in order to select these points, I'm going to click and drag around a number of them. The more points you have, probably the more accurate your result will be. So once we have them, we're going to use them to create something called a null object, which is a very useful thing in After Effects. It's just a blank layer that doesn't do anything but hold data. So in this case, it's going to do nothing but hold the position data of the average of those points. So I'm going to right click on the points and click Create Null and Camera. So that will do two things. It will create the null object, which, as I said, appears here but doesn't actually do anything. If we render the scene, you won't see it. It only appears in this preview window and contains the position data that correlates to that point in 3D space. And then there's also a camera, a 3D camera that's animated. If we reveal the position properties, it's animated on every frame to approximate the position and orientation of the camera on the head of the wingsuit flyer in this footage. So now we can take the position data from this null object and apply it to anything we want. So I'm going to put a German Shepherd into our scene. and I'm going to make it a 3D object by enabling this little cube button. So by default, that will put our German Shepherd at some arbitrary point in our 3D scene, which isn't where we want it, but it's kind of cool in and of itself, and it demonstrates what the effect is doing. So I'm going to move the dog to the position where our null object is. So to do that, I'm going to select the null object layer, and I'm going to reveal the position property. And I'm going to copy it with Command C, and then I'm going to paste it onto the dog layer. And now the dog will stick to the point where that null object was. I'm going to scale the dog down and rotate it so that it's standing on top of the ledge. So there we have our dog. It's hanging out on the ledge as if it were shot. So we're not done there. You can always go back to the effect to reveal the colorful tracking dots and create more nulls and put more objects into the scene. So just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to put another dog right at the lip here. So I'm going to select this track point, right click it, click create null, and now we'll have a null object that should stick to that position on the lip of the cliff. So if I drag another dog in there, make it a 3D layer, and then copy the position value from the null object to the dog, you'll see that the dog is now sitting on the edge of our cliff.